How soon is too soon to start doing maintenance work on a brand new lawnmower? 1 year, 2 years, or how about 5 years? This lawnmower was bought brand new and has been used for the last 5 years, but has never been properly serviced, and now it has some serious problems. Now we have to figure out who's to blame for the problems it's having, the equipment or the person using it. So in today's video, we're going to be looking at this Toro branded lawnmower. And the problem is that the self-propel isn't working like it should be, and the blade isn't spinning well either. Just remember this, that when you have extra cool features, there's a good possibility you're going to have some extra cool repairs to deal with. But before we get too far into the project, we need to record all the stickers we can find, that way we can order the right parts. So have you ever been curious what a 5-year-old air filter looks like? Well, it's not much to look at, but I'm not sure how well the engine was breathing through this. I also did check the fuel tank and it was full of gasoline, unlike the oil which was overfilled, but at least it wasn't low, I guess. Now it could have been a lot worse, so I'll take this amount any day. There's really nothing left to do now except start it up and see if the problems I was told about were true, or maybe they were imagining them. So as you just saw, the blade doesn't seem to be engaging. However, it turns out it was just spinning real slow. Now the self-propel was working, but there wasn't enough power getting to the wheels. Now what happens most of the time is that the belt starts to wear out and can't transfer the power like it used to. But if someone was messing with this bracket, the cable could have lost tension, so we're going to try making some adjustments to fix it. But while looking at the bracket, that's when we notice that the plastic anchor for the blade has been damaged. That might explain why the blade isn't working like it should be. So after sliding the drive cable down on the anchor just a little bit, it applied even more tension to the drive belt, and now the self-propel works a lot better. So I talked to my coworker about the problems, and that's when they decided to tell me more about what happened to this mower. Now it turns out the cable for the blade broke last year, and they ended up changing it. However, it never really worked well after that. And surprisingly enough, that's also when they started having problems with the drive system. I don't have a problem with consumers working on their own machines. However, if you're not sure what's going on, be prepared for other problems to show up. Now before we start the repairs, I would like to clean it up just a little bit because this machine is a bit dirty. This is what happens when you don't clean, let alone do the maintenance on a mower for several years. Now the underside isn't terrible, but if left alone like this, the mowing deck will start to rust out. This mower even comes with a wash port so you can connect your garden hose up to it to clean the mowing deck. However, it appears it's never been used because the port itself is clogged with dirt. Next, we'll take the blade off so we can scrape the majority of the dirt and grass off the deck. After that, we'll then clean it along with the rest of the mower using our sprayer. Of course, you don't need to clean your machine before working on it, but it's nice knowing that you're not going to get dirt or grass in places like inside the carb or the fuel tank. Now to avoid having to clean the underside of your mowing deck as often, try not to mow the grass while it's wet. But if you have no other choice, then just be aware that this sort of buildup can happen. Now that buildup can affect the way the mower cuts the grass, so a lot of buildup is something you want to avoid. There are coatings you can apply to the mowing deck to help prevent or slow down the buildup, but it's up to you. Now as for me, I just try to mow the grass when it's dry and then check it once in a while. So after letting it dry for several hours, it now looks almost brand new, which is a far cry from what it looked like a little bit earlier. Next, I want to take the plastic guard off for the clutch and show you how it works. Now to be honest, this system is very simple. In fact, the other brands should probably pay attention to its simplicity. After pressing on the safety and closing the handle, the cable will then put tension on a belt. That belt will then help to send power from the plate closer to the engine to the plate the blade is attached to. Yes, there are some weaknesses in this system, but it's so simple to fix, which is a huge plus. But after working the lever several times for this demonstration, the plastic part is now completely broken. We'll then look at the sticker on the mowing deck to find the model number and look up the cable, which luckily is not very expensive. Next, we'll carefully take off the speed nut from the handle, disconnect the cable from it, and then fish it out from all the guides. We'll then move under the deck and disconnect the end from the lever and then take off the anchor. We'll then release the plastic anchor from the cable, which is easier said than done. I will say that doing this job with the mower on a table will save your back, not to mention your sanity. Once the anchor is free, we'll then pull the cable from the deck. Just watch out for the end catching on stuff. So this is the new cable, and I'm not sure if they're all the same, but make sure to read all the reviews before ordering yours. Some consumers felt that the plastic on their new cable was even softer than the original one and had concerns that it was going to break again. Your guess is as good as mine as to why this part of the cable is made out of plastic and not something more durable. Now, if you're in a pinch, you could force the blade to stay on if your cable did break. That way you can finish mowing your yard until the new cable comes in. However, I'm going to guess that most people aren't going to try this out, but it's certainly something I would attempt only because my lawn will look really odd half mowed. Now, when dealing with the lower anchor, make sure to leave it loosely installed until the cable's been connected. Otherwise, you might end up having to fight against it if you have the cable in the wrong setting. I'm going to let you know that I had to spend a lot of time adjusting the cable to make sure there wasn't too much force on the plastic part. Otherwise, it was going to break again and we'll have to do this whole thing over again. To save you some time, I'd recommend starting the cable set to about 2 inches, however, it might be different if your cable's from a different vendor. But it's better than what I ended up doing, which ended up taking way too much time. Now here's the part my coworker missed out on, and that was testing to see if the setting applies just enough tension on the belt. We'll tie down the handle for the blade, and then test how tough it is to turn the plate for the blade. So the bottom plate is turning the engine, which is good news. However, we need to try and keep the engine from turning and see how the bottom plate slips on the belt. I'll just grab the flywheel and then turn the bottom plate and make sure it won't turn either. And if it does slip, we'll need to adjust the anchor again to apply even more tension on the belt. After that, do the test one more time and hopefully this time the plate won't slip on the belt. Check and make sure that the plastic piece isn't bending either, otherwise you're just going to have to do this again very soon. And once you're satisfied with how the clutch is working, we can start to put all the covers and the blade back on. Now, to be honest, the process to replace the cable isn't terrible at all, it's just all the fine tuning that makes it tough. So I did ask them if they made any adjustments to the original cable, but they said no. That can only mean that the plastic must have gotten brittle over time and then eventually broke. And the last thing to do was to put the beauty cover back on the engine and put the mower on the ground and then try testing it out. So it's been running for a while and the engine should be good and hot. Let's see how it starts back up. Well, it took a couple of pulls, but at least it started. That means it might be worth inspecting the valve clearances because more than likely they're going to be way out of tolerance. Otherwise, if they were in tolerance, it would have started back up in a single pull instead. Now, I'm all for consumers doing their own repairs. That saves the machine from the landfill and saves you a ton of money too. However, some repairs are not cut and dry, and this one not only messed up the cable, but disabled the drive system too. My recommendation is to watch some videos on the problem and the repair and decide if you're able to do it. And if not, ask for help, or worse yet, take it to the repair shop for an estimate. But just keep this in mind, the bigger the building is and the more new machines on the display floor means the higher the repair costs. Now, as for this mower, it is not ready to go back yet because there's a lot more maintenance to get caught back up on. So my question is, would you even attempt a repair like this one, or would you pass it on to someone else with a lot more experience? Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate your time here. Please feel free to ask me any questions about this project or about your own projects, and I hope to see you in the next video.